Just to clarify before you listen to the presentation, this is not a colon cleanse, although many people with digestive problems have found relief with this program. Another misconception is that anyone doing the detox program will be taken off of their medication. That's between you and the prescribing doctor. Also in the presentation, much attention is given to hormonal imbalance and unhealthy weight gain because it's a symptom that 2 out of 3 people have, and it's a symptom that profoundly affects their health, their enjoyment of life, and their self-esteem. But excess body fat is just one of many symptoms. It's just one sign of declining health. So if I don't address your specific symptoms, please understand that science has shown that virtually all symptoms have common causes: metabolic stress and breakdown from toxic environmental chemicals, hormonal imbalance, silent inflammation, and oxidative damage. All of the improvements that patients have experienced with this program have been accomplished with food. Sometimes we get so complicated that we outthink ourselves. Our brains may thrive in a high-tech environment, but our bodies are and always have been low-tech. Food is our medicine. It always has been. That's very empowering because we choose what we eat. Whether we know it or not, every time we eat, we start a hormonal chain reaction. Hormones are much more powerful than any drug your doctor will ever prescribe. They're powerful chemical messengers that control every function in our bodies. Hormones are like instruments in a symphony orchestra. When they're all playing in harmony, it's beautiful music. We can liken that to optimum health. We have hormones that control our blood pressure, put us to sleep at night, and keep us energized and alert during the day. Hormones that control our digestion, our kidney function. Hormones that tell our fat cells to store fat. Others that tell our fat cells to release fat. When those metabolic hormones begin to get out of balance, at first it's hardly noticeable. Genetically, we're all different, so symptoms vary from person to person. For some, they begin as sleep disturbance, chronic fatigue, or digestive problems. For others, blood sugar problems, mental fog, depression, chronic sinus problems, you name it, allergies and asthma, fibromyalgia, menstrual disorders, PMS. The list goes on because they're all just symptoms of underlying imbalance. But because our hormones are all interrelated, just like in that orchestra, the imbalance begins to cause a chain reaction negatively affecting other hormones, causing more and more symptoms and more health problems. High blood pressure, high cholesterol, high triglycerides are just more symptoms. Nothing in nature stays the same. As health declines even further, we feel worse and worse, and the symptoms get harder and harder to ignore until finally there is so much hormonal chaos that we're diagnosed with a serious disease. Excess body fat compounds the problem because when the fat in the fat cells goes rancid, the fat cells die, triggering an immune reaction to come clean up the mess. That silent, chronic inflammation relentlessly and cumulatively damages your body and your brain. The more fat a person has, the more rancid fat and the more silent inflammation they have. But again, thin or heavy, hormonal imbalance, toxic man-made chemicals, and the chronic silent inflammation that this nutritional detox program directly addresses cause a laundry list of symptoms and health problems, not just weight gain and difficulty losing weight. As a culture, we believe that we're more intelligent than the body, that we know what the body needs. It needs high blood pressure medication, sleeping pills, antidepressants, reflux medication to suppress symptoms. We've got to force the cholesterol down, force the body to lose weight. Medications are not designed to help the body heal itself. Antibiotics are an exception. You take antibiotics for a short period of time, and along with a healthy immune system, your body throws off the bacteria and you stop taking them. If the other medications corrected the problems, you'd take them for a short period of time, they'd correct the problem, and you'd stop taking them. But that's not the plan. Once you start taking blood pressure medication, you never stop. Cholesterol medication, you never stop. They're not designed to do anything except suppress a symptom. It's like having a leaking roof and just painting over the water spot on the ceiling. I take the opposite position. No matter how intelligent we believe ourselves to be, we will never comprehend the complexities of the human body. But understanding the physiologic impact of food and seeing the clinical results the patients are reporting every day on this program, the single best thing that we can do is to nourish the body, give it the building blocks that it needs to restore its own metabolic balance, and what we see with people who have done this, their bodies begin to heal in a very, very short period of time. When this research began in the mid-90s, Olympic athletes were chosen as the perfect test group. If you can increase the performance of that level of athlete by 1%, you're doing a lot because they're already pushing their performance envelope. This was back in the mid-90s, the Barcelona Olympics, a lot of swimmers and track and field athletes. They did nothing with their training routines. All they did was construct their meals, and they were getting increased performance of 3 to 5% in some of them. This was stunning at the time. We use these same principles for you in this program. We know what that optimum fuel-air mixture is that gets your metabolism humming like a fine-tuned sports car running at top performance. I've integrated this science and put together a practical, easy-to-learn, and easy-to-apply program that works in real life for real people using regular grocery store food. I'm not interested in someone losing weight for 2 months, or their blood pressure, or their cholesterol, or their blood sugar coming down for a few months. I see my job as teaching people to ride a bicycle. When you understand the physiology of food, food will become your ally, and you will have the most powerful tools for optimum health, your own experience and your own understanding of food. So just like those Olympic athletes, we get your metabolism back on balance. As the body heals, the symptoms go away. Since all of these improvements have been accomplished with food, it logically follows then that before understanding these principles, all of the people who have done this program were unknowingly causing their own health problems with the food they were eating, even when they thought they were eating healthy. We call this program the end of frustration. As you listen to this, I hope light bulbs go off for you. I wish you good health. I wish you the best. Going to get started here. Glad you all made it. What we're going to talk about tonight is that either knowingly or unknowingly, we are each in control of our health. I'm going to tell you some case studies from the office that I imagine the word that will go through your mind will be unbelievable. I'm going to show you how you can lower your triglycerides from the high 300s to the 100s within 30 days. You can lower, I know, it's unbelievable. When you think unbelievable, the next word that I want you to think of is routine. Easy. Because these are routine results that we're seeing. Cholesterol, high 200s to a normal, healthy range in 30 days. We have patients who were insulin-dependent diabetic for years, who, following their MD's instructions, were able to come off of insulin within 1 week. Sounds unbelievable. What sets this program apart is that we're not forcing the body to do anything. We are providing nourishment. From a biological standpoint, there are only 2 reasons for us to eat. And I'm not talking about the social enjoyment of eating or boredom or anything else. From a biological standpoint, there are only 2 reasons for us to eat. One is to consume energy to burn or to be stored as future energy, fat. And the other is to consume the raw materials that our bodies need to maintain and repair themselves. So we're not going to force the body to do anything. We're nourishing the body, and these are the results that we're routinely seeing. Todd and Tina are going into about 7 weeks now.
Today's the beginning of the 7th week.
Today's the beginning of the 7th week. Okay. I'm always happy. Weight loss happens as a result of this program. It is not the primary aim. There are weight loss programs out there, and what do people do is they lose the weight and then they gain it back again because they're basically forcing the body to lose weight. It's not restoring health. The only way that you're going to sustain weight loss is Excess body fat is a sign of declining health. That's what it is. It's a sign of declining health. So as the body becomes healthier, excess body fat is naturally lost, and as that state of health continues to improve or is maintained, that weight stays off. So I'm always glad when people lose the weight because excess body fat is a liability, but what I'm more concerned about is what's happening internally. They have to leave, and I appreciate them being here, so you take it away, Todd.
Well, and I'll say this, my only reason for being here is because my whole life I have struggled with my weight. 2 times in my life I've lost weight. One was when I was 18 years old, enlisted in the Army, went through basic training at Fort Benning. We ran and marched every day, everywhere, in June, July, August, and September. I lost some weight there. Back when my daughter was just a small child, I got up to the point I was running 6 miles a day, lifting weights, and then also about every other day I would do another 30 to 40 minutes on the stair stepper, and was blessed enough to lose 2 pounds a week. I've always struggled with my weight. I have found a system that works. I've done Nutrisystems. Contrary to their ads, their food does not taste great unless you enjoy cardboard box. I've done Weight Watchers. It works. It comes back. This, they say a picture's worth 1,000 words. That is me in June. You can pass that around. I weigh 238 pounds. My blood pressure on medication was 138 over 95.
134 over 98.
That was on medication. 4 weeks after being on the program, I came in here, we took my blood pressure, it was 104 over 70 while I was on my medication. We left here, I called my doctor, I was in there an hour and a half later, he cut my medicine in half because I was literally getting lightheaded if I got up too quickly. Since then, we've cut my medicine in half again. I'm taking a half dose of what I was taking, now I'm taking it every other day. This works. I've never been able to find anything that has helped me lose weight, keep it off, manage it, and I've lost right at 30 pounds in 6 weeks, and it's been easy. The first week I lost 13 and a half pounds. The man almost dropped. A lot of it was edema. My body from eating wrong things. I thought I was eating healthy. I now understand processed foods are killing me, or were killing me. I feel better. Other than my blood pressure, didn't have any health problems. My wife has always been a lot smaller than I am. She's never really had the weight problem. But we both have lost about 12-13% of our body weight. Stand up. She looks good. She always looked good, but we're both 46 years old. For the first time in my life, I can wear clothes that fit. I feel better than I've felt since I've been in my 20s. The only thing that I want to be here is to tell you, this is a program that works. I've done everything else. I've never seen anything. And for the first time in my life, I'm in control of my weight, and my weight's not controlling me. Again, I didn't have problems other than blood pressure. I'm a type A personality. I know that. I'm one of these people that go about 100 miles an hour.
He was told his blood pressure, he was just one of those people.
My doctor told me you're just one of those people that has high blood pressure. No, I'm not one of those people that just have high blood pressure. Some of my customers I only see every 6-8 weeks. I'm walking in their office and they're going, what happened to you? Everybody wants to know. Now, the program, the first 4 weeks, the tough side for me was not the meal replacement shakes, because they're good. It's, the detoxification, and I'm not a vegetable eater. And on the list there's 20-some vegetables, I think?
Probably so.
I like 6. So that was tough for me. But I stuck to it, got through the first 4 weeks, and now it's opened up. My shirts I've given away, my suits I've given away. I'm also an ordained minister, and that's the reason I got to go, because we have a meeting at the church at 7:30. After church one Wednesday night, the guy I'm giving all my suits and jackets to, I said, John, try this one on. He put it on, he said, man, this fits. I said, it's yours. I'm done with it. People ask, well, what if you go back? I'm not going back. I now know how to control my weight. And I don't have to run 6 miles a day, because I can't. I had a hip replacement 2 years ago. I can't run. I love to run. I wish I could. But I have dropped weight like I've never seen. And I'm going to tell you, this program works. This man wants to see people healthy. We have been sending people from our church up here. We've been sending friends up here because they've had the same issues we have, where we just struggle with these things. I don't know of an easier way to get control of your weight. And I've told Dr. Pellington, he has my cell phone number. I said, you have anybody call me, because this program will put you where you want to be. I started at 238. I'm right at 208 now. 30 pounds in 6 weeks. And it's been easy. So I'll turn it back to Dr. Pellington.
One of the reasons that Todd is here, I believe, is he sat out there and was very skeptical.
Oh, yeah. I'm a commission salesman. My job is to sell people. I sat right over there, listened to this thing. It can't be this easy. It just cannot be this easy. And it is this easy. I was a skeptic because I did the Nutrisystems. I've done the Weight Watchers. I've done everything that society tells us we need to do to lose weight. And I was skeptical. And I've known Dr. Pellington for probably 2-3 years now. And I think he's a fine man. We have met outside of this office in community service organizations. This is a good man. He wants to see people healthy. And I'll just say this, my wife came to me for chiropractic things. She's gone to chiropractors for years. Her last chiropractor I called Dr. Kevorkian. Just me. Nothing against Dr. Pellington. Because he does something most chiropractors don't do. Tell you how to fix your problem. He has gone to chiropractors basically since my daughter was born. She's 19. 2 years ago she came in here, Dr. Pellington, with headaches. He started on some exercises, some massage therapy, adjusted her, and within probably 6-8 weeks, he told her, you keep doing these exercises, you're stretching, you don't need to come back. Now, every other chiropractor she went to adjusted her, make an appointment for next month, and pay me $40. This man has people's health at heart. Every time I've ever gone to a doctor, you have high blood pressure, here's your medicine, you need to lose some weight. Call me when you need a refill, come back in 6 months. This will put you in control of your life. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is my clothes fit. And that's something I've never really enjoyed my entire life. I've always been overweight, or at least heavy. And this works, folks. That picture proves it. That is June. The picture tells it all. Not only there, on my credit cards I have check ID. Past weekend I was getting some stuff, and I gave my credit card. The guy looked at it and said, well, let me see your ID. He looked at that, looked at me, and said, what'd you do? And I told him. And, you know, there was a place here in Newton County, and I said, it works. And we've, like I said, we've sent friends up. I truly believe now that what we eat when we go to the grocery store is killing us. And I've never been one to go down without a fight. And I come from good genes. Both of my grandmothers are still alive. They're in their 90s. My grandfather lived in 97. He actually lived, him and my grandmother lived on their own up until the early 90s when they were put in a nursing home. After a couple of years, he fell, broke his hip. They put him in the hospital. He got pneumonia and died at 97. So I come from good stock. I'm going to be around a while. So I want to be around in good health. Any questions, you're welcome. He'll give you my cell phone. But folks, this works. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dr. Pellington.
Okay. Thanks, Todd.
All right.
Thanks, Tina. Okay, so there's 3 parts of the program, and they all intertwine. I'm going to briefly describe them, and then we're going to go into as much detail as we have time for. There is the Detox. This is a short-term part of the program. We are inundated, we are bombarded by man-made environmental chemicals that adversely affect our metabolic hormones, that depress our metabolism. So how do we get rid of those? How do we clean the body of those? The second is weight loss. Weight loss, as I said, happens as a result of restoring health to the body. We're going to talk about the liabilities of excess body fat. And the weight loss is also a short-term program. There's a finite time. Once a person reaches their weight loss goals, again, there is no benefit for someone to lose weight and then just gain it back. So my goal with anybody is to pass the hat so that you understand the physiology of food. It puts you in control. Just like Todd said, he's never felt in control before. He is in control. There's no question about it. And then the third, which is really what concerns me the most, is the long-term, the anti-aging portion. We know now in the 21st century we have benefits that we know what the markers of aging are. And if those markers are elevated in a person, then their body is undergoing accelerated aging. Their cells are aging at an accelerated rate. Likewise, we know that if we can lower those markers of accelerated aging, then we are slowing the aging process. Part of the anti-aging program addresses inflammation. There is a common thread that runs through all chronic degenerative diseases, whether that be cardiovascular disease, kidney disease, Alzheimer's disease, cancer, diabetes, autoimmune disease. All of these chronic degenerative diseases share a common thread, and that common thread is silent, unchecked inflammation in the body. Okay, so that's the overview. Let's go back to the detox portion. There are two basic premises that I'm going to address tonight, and this is the first one. Technologically and culturally, we have evolved very, very rapidly in the last, say, 100 years especially. But biologically, our bodies are the same as our ancestors' bodies were thousands of years ago. So what has occurred is that in the last 100 years especially, through our mental capacity, we have created compounds that never before existed in nature. These are compounds that never existed until man created them. The problem with that is that our bodies cannot evolve over a course of 100 years, and therefore our bodies have no metabolic pathways to handle and very often to even rid itself of these chemicals. Let me give you some examples. We see girls who are going through puberty at 8 and 9 years old now. 25 years ago, if that were to have occurred, that child would have been taken to the endocrinologist to find out what the heck was wrong with her. Today, it's simply accepted as normal. 15% of all couples cannot conceive a child, and very often the problem is with the man. Sperm counts are falling, and environmental toxins are implicated in that. CDC released a report, it was this year, 2008, and I think it was just June. CDC tested 3,000 people, all states in the United States, and I don't know if that included Alaska or Hawaii, I don't know, it doesn't matter. Let's just say it was the lower 48. Tested 3,000 people. This is a good-sized sample. And what they were testing for was the residue of jet fuel. And they found jet fuel residue in every one of those 3,000 people. So they then made the presumption that all of us have jet fuel in our system. Now, how did it get there? Well, the planes have been going overhead for 100 years, and the exhaust has been raining down. The jet fuel is not on our food. The jet fuel is in our food. So it doesn't matter if you're eating organic or growing your own food. These toxins are out there. And this is just one. This is just one. There are tens of thousands of chemicals that have been manufactured. And we're talking about single ones. We don't even know their interaction. Okay, so the point is not to become obsessed with this. It's just a prudent person recognizing this is the condition that we're in, and whatever we can do to aid the body in throwing some of these things off, then our future is brighter. So that's the detox. That's not all of it. There's more to it, but we're going to now relate these other things. Let's talk about weight loss. Again, Todd is at the head of the pack. He holds the record so far. We've had several people who have lost 8 pounds. One woman lost 13 pounds in her first week, and Todd lost 13 and a half. The only thing that a person can lose that rapidly in such a short period of time is water. Now, that's no small accomplishment because, again, Todd's blood pressure was 134/98 on blood pressure medication. On blood pressure medication, 98 is a stroke waiting to happen. That's a dangerous level, and that's the best that they could get it on medication. This program, I don't treat high blood pressure, I don't treat diabetes, I don't treat lupus. Okay, what we do is nourish the body, allow the body to restore its own metabolic balance. So he lost 13.5 pounds in 1 week. Let's say a couple of pounds of that was fat. The rest of it was fluid. That's what his heart was trying to push every time it was pumping, was all of that edema. Again, remember, when I say inflammation, think swelling. That's what happens. When there is inflammation in the body, part of that process, that inflammatory process, is to hold on to edema. Now, is that true for everyone? No. There are genetic differences between us. But every chain has a weak link. It doesn't matter how strong that chain is, but that weak link is where imbalance is going to manifest itself. Okay? So we each could be exposed to the same lifestyle, the same external factors, but because of our genetics, we're going to manifest that imbalance in different organ systems. There's really only 3 approaches to health. Okay? You can preserve health, promote health. You can reverse any damage to whatever degree it can be reversed, or you can manage disease. Isn't that what people do, is they manage high blood pressure? They manage diabetes, right? There's no concept in the West of reversing these things, or certainly it's not mainstream. So, if you look at this in your past, this is talking about a declining health continuum. Rather than naming 5,000 diseases, if we simplify, because I have a simple mind, I take more of an Eastern model. Rather than naming 5,000 diseases, if we just look at bodies out of balance, that state of being out of balance begins subtly. It begins subtly. And this is what, on the left-hand side of the chart, I'm indicating. Some of these vague disorders, they're not life-threatening, they're a little annoying possibly, but they're the body sending messages that something's not quite right. Because these are not problems that healthy bodies have. Maybe some overweight issues, sleep disorders. I'm just amazed at how many people don't sleep well. Fibromyalgia, I've been in practice about 24 years, and 24 years ago, fibromyalgia, occasionally people would come in with fibromyalgia. Now it's epidemic. Frequently, people come in and they have chronic fatigue and fibromyalgia. Again, nothing life-threatening, but certainly very disruptive. Menstrual irregularities, constipation, depression. We've had people, all of these things that you see on this list are improvements that patients have had on this program. We've had people come off of antidepressants, come off of injected insulin, oral anti-diabetic medication, blood pressure medication, reflux medication, pain medication, cholesterol medication, sleeping pills, and antacids, just by nourishing the body. Okay? So, if these symptoms on the left-hand side are ignored, and very often in the West, again, they're not ignored, but they're only treated symptomatically because they don't really know what the heck is going on, so they try to make the person more comfortable, maybe give them some antidepressants, some anti-inflammatories, something to make them a little bit more comfortable, but it's not addressing the cause of the problem. It's not addressing the imbalance. So if this is ignored, then the person's health is going to further decline. And let me stop right here. There's one chronic degenerative disease that none of us will escape, and that is aging. Okay, but what we do want to do is we want to slow that process down as much as possible. What all of us, I think, in our 20s and 30s, I know this was my viewpoint, my 20s and 30s, I consider myself to be immortal. In my 40s and 50s, it's like, okay, well that ain't true, so I better do something, otherwise my 60s and 70s aren't looking real good. But this is what I think we all want. We all want to coast along in life until our number is up and we just fall off the cliff. And we know people like that. People who live in their 70s and 80s and 90s and they're vital active, enjoying life, enjoying their family, their grandchildren, setting goals, involved in the community. Unfortunately, up until the 21st century, again, we have advantages in the 21st century, but prior to the 21st century and our ability to measure the metabolic responses to food, this represented those who were genetically lucky, and that was about 10 to 15% of the population. The rest, 85 to 90% of the population, hits their peak sometime during their life. I'm telling you, I talk to people who are in their 30s and they hit their peak in their 20s. I mean, some people, you look around, this ain't a healthy society. But whether it's 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever, and then we start to slowly decline. That's what we don't want. And I think I can make a general statement that we don't want to just decline. Our world shrink smaller and smaller with every passing year until we're just old and decrepit. We want to be vital and vigorous to the end of our days. So, if we ignore these or don't know what to do with some of these subtle signs of the body being out of balance, then the person's health is going to further decline. Now maybe we have something that's measurable, right? Now maybe our blood pressure is up. We've got labs that are out of the normal range, or triglycerides, cholesterol, whatever, is up. Blood's starting to have maybe blood sugar problems. Maybe we're on our first medication for something, right? Loss of libido. Maybe before we would gain weight, we could lose it, but now there's difficulty losing the weight, okay? There's more signs that the body is going further and further out of balance. Again, are these life-threatening? No, they're not life-threatening, but it's an indication that health is in decline. Now, if it's not corrected and reversed to whatever degree that it can be reversed, then eventually we're going to be diagnosed with a disease. Whether it's diabetes, cardiovascular disease, cancer, autoimmune disease, liver disease, kidney disease, Alzheimer's disease, you name it, eventually we're going to be diagnosed with a disease. But the point that I'm making is that the fact that our bodies biologically are the same as they were thousands of years ago is actually very empowering. I'm going to give you an example. Did you know that a woman's breast milk in her 7th and 8th month of pregnancy has a higher percentage of protein than it does in her 9th month of pregnancy? So that if that baby were born prematurely, that baby would have exactly what it would need in that mother's milk. We will never comprehend the intricacies and the complexity of the human body. We never will. The single best thing that we can do is to nourish the body, give it the nutrition, the nourishment, the building blocks that it needs, and as we see in the people who have done this, their bodies begin to heal within a very, very short period of time. A very, very short period of time. If somebody comes in and their labs are high, and say they have high cholesterol, high triglycerides, I've seen this enough now that I tell that person, schedule your labs for 3 weeks, because I know 3 weeks is all we need. In 3 weeks, their labs are going to be either close to or within normal range. I had a woman, her cholesterol was 240 on Lipitor. 240 on Lipitor. 3 weeks into the program, she had her labs done again, and her cholesterol was 108. Now that's too low. It's too low, but you get the idea. The nourishment feeding her body brought her cholesterol down into a normal range, and on top of that, she had a cholesterol-suppressing drug in her system. Her MD said, "You don't need to be taking Lipitor anymore." Took her off the Lipitor. I expected the next time that she has her labs done, her cholesterol is going to be in a normal range, 150 to 180. They couldn't get it there with statins, but by nourishing her body, within 3 weeks, it happened. This one, Charles. Charles came in. Charles had been insulin-dependent diabetic for years, His why for doing the program was that his liver enzymes kept ticking up. Every time he would have an exam, he was having fatty degeneration of the liver, and his enzymes were coming up. Well, he had been insulin-dependent diabetic for years, and his instruction from his MD was that if your blood sugar goes above 150, you take an insulin injection. During our initial consultation, he said, my blood sugar never goes below 150. He was taking an insulin injection after every meal for at least the last 5 years. Within the first week, he was off of insulin, following his MD's instructions. His MD's instructions were, if your blood sugar goes above 150, you take an insulin injection. His blood sugar was no longer going above 150. He was not taking an insulin injection. He had his labs done 30 days after being on the program. He's got a lot of weight to lose, and he's losing the weight. And healing, I'm not saying this guy's diabetic. He's not out of the woods. Don't get me wrong. Healing is a process. All we're seeing is that we turn that train around. If he continues to apply these strategies in his life, he will be healthier 6 months from now than he is today. Okay? Healing is a process. We're not changing these people's internal metabolism in 30 days. We're giving it an advantage. We're helping it regain its balance. His triglycerides before the program were 388. 30 days after being on the program, his triglycerides were 123. His 90-day glucose was 221 on insulin. It was 221 on insulin. The way the 90-day glucose works is that our red blood cells only live for about 90 days. Okay, so they're constantly being turned over. We have some in our bodies that are 90 days old, some that are 50 days old, some that are 15 days old. You get the idea, they're constantly being turned over, and we have a mix of them in our bloodstream. So the way that our 90-day glucose works is that once sugar attaches to the protein of the red blood cell, it never lets go. So by drawing a sample of blood, they can average out what's the blood sugar been in the last 90 days, okay? So his blood sugar, prior to the program, his 90-day glucose was 221 on insulin. After 30 days, his 90-day glucose was 134. That's a 90-day average. He had only been on the program for 30 days. You get the idea, if we did a 30-day glucose, what would it have been? It was closer to 100, because he was running about, in the morning, he was running about 111, 110, and somewhere between 97 and 114 is about where he was staying after 30 days. This is miraculous stuff. It's routine. It's easy. It is easy. Going to run into somebody that gives us a problem, I'm sure, because but this stuff, it's wonderful. It's magnificent to see people start to sleep. Let me tell you about Eleanor. Eleanor hadn't slept through the night for 5 years since coming off of hormones. She would sleep for a couple of hours, and then she would wake up, and she would have to get up, and she would be up for an hour or two. She'd get up, and she'd do something around the house, or she would read. She'd go back to bed, and maybe she'd sleep for an hour, and she'd wake up again. This had been going on for 5 years. The only time the human body releases human growth hormone, which is essential to repair, is during deep sleep. So, one of the first goals is to get a person to sleep who's not sleeping well. Within the first week, Eleanor was sleeping through the night. I know it sounds unbelievable. I'm just telling you. I'm not going to lie to you. This stuff, not everybody responds that quickly, you know? Not everybody. Different people. But across the board, we get giddy when somebody starts the program. Because we know that within a few days, they're going to say something about how they're feeling better. Okay. Let's talk about aging. Let's talk about, we're going to tie it in. I'm going to back up and talk about excess body fat. Yeah, so anyway, if you know people who have autoimmune disease, diabetes, cardiovascular disease, send those people in because they're dying, okay? And they can get a grip on their health. They don't feel good. Whether people want to be healthy or not, I leave that to debate. A lot of people, I think, really don't care about being healthy. Mostly what they want to do is they want to feel better. Okay, well, as the body becomes healthier, you're going to feel better. Excess body fat. We used to think that body fat was inert, that it was just stored energy, stored fuel. Well, we know now that those fat cells are actually releasing hormones that promote inflammation in the body. Sorry, this is all stream of consciousness, so I know I'm jumping around, but let me explain what inflammation is. Let me make this simple. We all know that we should take antioxidants. Well, why do we need to take antioxidants? Well, the reason that we need to take antioxidants is because we use oxygen to burn fuel to have the energy to do things. Oxygen is a very reactive molecule. We see it out in nature. If iron is left outside, it reacts with the oxygen in the atmosphere, and oxygen, when it binds with those molecules, changes the molecular structure. And in the case of iron, it starts to lose its structural integrity, okay? It crumbles into rust. Well, we are also burning oxygen, and they're called free oxygen radicals. We've heard of free radicals, right? Well, they're free oxygen radicals. And oxygen damages our structural membranes. So we want to reduce the effect of that oxidation of our cells. That's why we take antioxidants, or our foods contain antioxidants. Fats. We know that if we leave butter out, or even in the refrigerator, if you don't use it a lot and you go to get it, it's got this translucent ring around the butter where the fat has reacted, the surface of the fat has reacted with the oxygen in the air, and it's turned rancid. That's what we call butter or fats. When they react with oxygen, they turn rancid. Well, it may not sound pretty, but we're walking around cooking at 98 degrees, and we've got a lot of fats in our membranes, and we better have some antioxidation mechanism, because otherwise it's not a pretty sight, right? So we want to take in antioxidants, but what we also want to do is we want to reduce to whatever degree we're able that oxidation process. Because if we reduce the oxidation, then our cells aren't damaged, they live longer, and the rate of aging is slowed. So the anti-aging component of the program is to reduce that silent inflammation. When I say inflammation, think oxidation. In this context, they're pretty much interchangeable. So back to fat cells. We used to think that they were just inert, but now that we know that they're actually sending messages, they're creating hormones that promote inflammation. This is why people who are just 20 pounds overweight have a 4 to 5 times greater likelihood of developing Alzheimer's disease, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. Just 20 pounds overweight increases the odds 4 to 5 times. Excess body fat is a liability. It's a sign of declining health. And people find it difficult to lose weight because, again, from a Western model, they're going to try to force the body to lose weight. You may be successful for a short period of time, but without restoring health to the body, that weight loss is going to be short-lived. You're just going to gain it right back again. We are not forcing the body to do anything. Weight loss is a side effect. We're supporting and rebalancing the body. As it regains its balance, all of these things, to whatever degree the body is able, these symptoms subside. Okay, so it is tremendously empowering when you put all these pieces together to realize that food is our medicine. It is the thing that nourishes us and gives our bodies the building blocks to maintain and repair itself. We don't have to rely on any sophisticated technology or man-made chemicals. I'm not against medication when medication is necessary. What Western medicine is very good at is if a person is on the brink of death, they will pluck them back from the brink of death, but they're not going to do anything to keep you from getting there in the first place. It's always been the case, but even more so now, we look around and we realize, especially forward-thinking people, that we are responsible for our own health and our own future. Okay, so how do we do that? Inflammation is a natural response in the body. Our body uses inflammation if there are microorganisms that are trying to get in. Our body uses inflammation to wall them off, We've all seen peroxide. You get a cut, you get it infected, you put peroxide on there, and the oxygen in the peroxide just bubbles up, right? What it's doing is it's damaging, it's killing the microorganism. Well, our body uses a similar process to fight against foreign bacteria and viruses. We have an inflammatory system, but we also have an anti-inflammatory system. And when they're in balance, again, balance, when they're in balance, then the inflammatory system kicks in when it's appropriate, and the anti-inflammatory system kicks in when it's appropriate, when the inflammatory system has done its job. The building blocks that our bodies use to build these inflammatory hormones and the anti-inflammatory hormones are some essential fatty acids. And to give you an example, we've all heard of omega-6s and omega-3s, right? Okay, well, the omega-6s is what fuel the inflammatory side. The omega-3s are what our bodies use as building blocks to create, manufacture anti-inflammatory metabolic hormones. We look back at our ancestors and go back even just 100 years ago, and they were consuming in their diet, on average, about 1-to-1 omega-6 to 1 omega-3. We look at our food supply today, and the typical American diet, or the standard American diet, SAD for short, average American is consuming 20 omega-6s to 1 omega-3. This is why people are burning up on the inside. That chronic inflammatory process is damaging the weak link in the chain, whether it's that person's kidneys, their blood vessels, their brain, their heart, just depends. Even cholesterol, we know that cholesterol is not the problem. The problem is inflammation of the blood vessels and oxidized cholesterol. So there again, it's the inflammation, it's the oxidation. So, how do we control inflammation? One of the hormones in the body that is a master hormone is insulin. And when I talk about insulin, people say, well, I don't need to lose a lot of weight, I don't have blood sugar problems. Okay, well, we all produce insulin in response to eating. We produce insulin whenever we eat. Insulin does what we all know it does. It transports the blood sugar from the bloodstream into the cells to either be burned as energy or to be stored as future energy, fat. That's about the only good thing that insulin does. Insulin also suppresses the release of human growth hormone. Insulin in the body tells the fat cells to not release any fat. And insulin is very pro-inflammatory. This is why diabetes is so devastating. Diabetes is rampant, unchecked inflammation throughout the body. It damages the blood vessels, the kidneys. It damages every structure, the nerves. You get neuropathy. It's the leading cause of amputation because the blood vessels become inflamed and the blood doesn't circulate. It's the leading cause of blindness because it damages the nerves. It's the leading cause for a person to require kidney dialysis. The inflammation. When you think inflammation, think of a brush fire. Every time we eat, if we don't understand the physiology of food, what those food components are doing physiologically, then every time we eat, unknowingly, we are setting a match to a brush fire. And that brush fire is going to continue for the next 3 to 4 hours until we eat again. And in most cases, a person sets another match, and another brush fire goes through, and it damages and damages and damages, and that's a cumulative process. So, now let's talk about weight loss, trying to tie this together. Let's say a person has been trying to lose weight, and they can't lose any weight. Well, one of the things that is happening is that when we eat, blood sugar rises, that's a natural response. Insulin rises to move the sugar out of the bloodstream into the cells to be burned as energy or stored as fat. But once that job is done, it's up to the liver to clear that insulin out of the bloodstream. If the liver is sluggish again because of toxins in our environment that are causing the liver to become less efficient, like a dirty filter, okay, we don't expect a car with a dirty filter to run as efficiently. If the same thing is occurring and the liver's not clearing that insulin out of the bloodstream, then as long as that insulin is circulating, it's telling the body, don't release any stored fat. Because I can tell you, I've talked to people who are overweight and have tried everything, quote, to lose weight, and I ask them, what do you eat for breakfast, what do you eat for lunch, and they're not eating a lot of food, and they can't lose weight. We put them on this program, and predictably what we see is the average is 15 pounds a month that people are losing. And it's by restoring their health. It's not forcing their bodies to do anything. These are people who couldn't lose weight before. I had one woman who, Robin, first consultation, she said, I gain weight on diets. That was real cool. She couldn't lose, she's in law enforcement, and she was getting to the point where they put her through physical tests every year, right? And she was getting a little bit bigger. These qualification tests were getting a little bit tougher each year. And she was distressed. She couldn't lose. This woman does not lack willpower. She does not lack drive. She could not lose any weight. She lost 28 pounds in 7 weeks. We don't have it before. I wish we had it before. She's skipping. I mean, she's just thrilled. Okay, so when we eat, if we know the effects, again, the benefits of living in the 21st century is we can measure the metabolic responses to food. By doing that, we can optimize our meals and put those meals together. Let me tell you how simple this is. A lot of this anti-aging research started to come out in the early to mid-90s. So I've been eating like this ever since. When Laurie and I go out to dinner, this is so easy. We order off the menu just like everybody else. We're eating with friends. Nobody knows that we're consciously constructing our meals. We're eating the same food as they are. It might be different proportions on the plate, but we're eating the same food. If we decide we're going to share a dessert, or if I want a glass of wine, I plan that into my meal. I plan it into my meal to reduce that inflammatory response. Total control. Food will become your ally, not just something you eat. It will become your ally once you learn. A lot of this process is an educational process. I want you, if you decide to do it, then for 30 days, I ask you, the only people I work with are people who can do straight and narrow for 30 days. And it's not difficult. There's plenty of food on the list. The only things that you are eliminating are the things that you know that we've all heard. Well, you're just going to eliminate those for 30 days, okay? The reason that is because our normal declines slowly over time, and we may not feel really bad, but we just don't feel really well. Well, in a week, you're going to feel better. In 30 days, you're going to feel better than you felt in a long time. That I'm very confident of. You will feel better than you felt in a long time. Now, when you start reintroducing some of these other foods, I'm not your dad, I'm your coach, I'm your partner. I want you to get it, okay? So at the end of that 30 days, you start reintroducing these other foods, and you see how your individual biochemistry reacts to that food. Because I've had people, let me just give you an example. I had a woman who had been buying salad dressing from Whole Foods, sugar-free, Whole Foods, figured it was pretty good stuff. She'd been eating this on her salads for quite some time. There was a misunderstanding when she started the program because what I ask is that you not use prepared foods, that you just eat fresh foods for 30 days. But she misunderstood, so about 10 days into the program, she was already feeling better. She had already, in 10 days, come off of her antidepressant. She said before she was feeling like this all day long, and after just a few days on the program, she started to wean herself off because she just felt like she was on, to use her words, on an even keel all day long. And she came off of her antidepressant. She had a salad. She put some of the salad dressing that she'd been eating regularly, and she said that for the next 3 hours, she felt a mild headache, she felt nauseated, and she felt like somebody had pulled her plug. Now, this is something that she'd been eating regularly, and she never saw any difference. She never noticed any difference. You get the idea? So that's why it's for you that I ask you to do the straight and narrow, because if you do the straight and narrow and you start reintroducing these foods, you make your own decision. Was it worth it or not? Well, she's not buying that salad dressing anymore. She's got plenty of options. She doesn't need that. So let's take an extreme. Let's say I decide to blow it out, and I have pizza and beer with friends. Ain't no way I'm going to offset the inflammatory damage of pizza and beer. They're just sorry, ain't no way. But what I'm going to do is the very next meal, I'm going to put that fire out. I'm going to put that fire out because I understand food, and you will understand food. And the choices that you make will no longer be unknown. You can't deny that you know something once you know it. So if at the end of whatever time period it takes to achieve your goals, you eat according to your physiology in a way that supports your health and your longevity 90% of the time, and you intentionally deviate 10% of the time, what this shows, read this, please read through the materials, this shows that our lifestyle, and specifically our dietary choices, turn genes on and turn genes off. We didn't know this 25 years ago. We can trump our genes by our choices, and we can maximize the probability of long and healthy life. It's very cool stuff. So if you eat 90% of the time according to your physiology and you intentionally deviate 10% of the time, you will be in a totally different camp than the rest of the 98% of the people out there who are eating just according to whim, and they're eating just unknowingly, haphazardly, and maybe 5% of the time they get lucky. It's just a matter of, we're all driving. Most people are driving with their eyes closed, and they're headed for disaster. So, any questions? Okay, if not, anybody who is interested, I will do a consultation with you. We'll talk about your prior health history, what your current status is, what your goals are, and we'll design a program for you and get you started if that's what you so choose to do. I hope that everybody will do this program. There is nothing, I can tell you that there is no single thing that you can do that will have a more profound effect on your future health. I believe that 100%. We've got the labs. Let me tell you about a woman. I'm just going to wrap this up. Autoimmune, because I want you to refer people in here. I do. There are people who are out there who are terribly sick. Emily has lupus. Emily has lupus, she has rheumatoid arthritis, and she has fibromyalgia. When she came in for the initial consultation, she was carrying a wicker basket. I wondered, what the heck is she carrying a wicker basket for? She had her medications in it. She was on 10 medications. About all that they can do for autoimmune disease is to treat symptomatically, try to make the person comfortable, give them anti-inflammatories, give them antidepressants. She wasn't sleeping at all, right? She was terrible. I've known this woman. She's been a patient since I came down to Covington. She's been a patient here for about 2.5, 3 years, on and off. And you could tell, I could always tell, Emily was a person who was just willing herself through life. On her best days, you and I probably wouldn't get out of bed. On her best days. On her worst days, she started a program. We ordered the product for her. Before she started, she went down. Lupus flared up. She was in bed for 2 weeks with a flare-up. Her MD was so concerned, said, if you don't pull out of this soon, we're sending you to the hospital. She was working with a friend of hers who also happens to be a patient of mine, and I said, Sylvia, I don't care what you do, you make sure Emily gets this nutrition during the time that her body is in a flare-up, because I knew that that was the best chance for her body. Nourish her body, let's see. There's a cycle where you're doing meal replacements, which are basically shakes, as Todd said. Nourishing the body, pumping in nutrition, eating one well-constructed meal and a snack. And then on the 7th day, you're doing a cleanse where you're flushing a lot of this crap out. Emily went through 2 cycles of that. She couldn't work. She was in bed for 2 cycles for 2 weeks. She did her 3rd cleanse day. Some people respond a little bit more slowly, right, depending on their health history, depending on what's going on. She did a 3rd cleanse on a Sunday. That Monday, she burst through that door. She had her hands in the air. She was dancing around. I'm not kidding. She said, I don't hurt. I don't hurt anywhere. It brought tears to my eyes. It still sends chills up my spine. Emily still has lupus. She will always have lupus. It's a genetic disorder. But it's an inflammatory disorder. You get the idea? By reducing the inflammation in her body, she lost 33 pounds in 8 weeks, 10 weeks, I forget. I don't care how long it took. She lost 33 pounds. She was I saw her last week. Her dips are not as low, and her highs are a lot higher. She's doing so much better. 6 months from now, she's going to be healthier than she is today, because healing is a process. So if you know people who are sick, these people with diabetes or pre-diabetic people, they need to get in control because the future's not bright. That's a terrible disease. So anyway, I could go on and on. We've got story after story after story. I want your stories. I want your stories. I want you to do it. It will change your life. It's the best thing you can do for yourself, is to understand the physiology of food. So, thank you for coming. I'm glad you came. And Teresa has the times. The consultation is at no charge. The only thing that I ask is that if you do make an appointment, please arrive on time. We block that time out for you, and have your paperwork completed so that we can just move right on back to consultation. Thanks again. Yes.
Hey, I'm Sandy Ainsworth, and my husband and I started this program a week ago, and I must admit that when I started the program, I was skeptical. But I thought, well, you know, I have nothing to lose at this point. I was very unhappy with myself. I had not been able to lose weight, had been working out, walked, thought I was on a diet, and just couldn't do anything. I mean, I continued to gain weight. So it was like beating my head against the wall, and I was frustrated. Not only that, but I have had chronic hives for the last 4 years, have been to many allergists and MDs in the Atlanta area, and nobody's been able to do anything, find out what caused them. Well, already within 1 week of being on this program, my hives are actually going away. They're fighting a good battle because they've been here a long time, but they have actually lessened to a huge degree. I also complained of joint pain with my knees if I sat for any length of time, which I do every day at work. When I first got up, I could hardly walk because my knees hurt so bad. That's gone away. I have no problems with that whatsoever now. I just feel great. I mean, it's unbelievable how good I feel after just 1 week. And I'm so excited because I feel this good after 1 week. What's going to be at the end of 3 or 4 weeks with this? I had also complained to Dr. Pellington about not being able to sleep at night. I woke up all through the night, could not get into a deep sleep. I didn't even feel, when I woke up in the mornings, I didn't even feel like I had slept at all. I woke up tired, anything not to get up. I just didn't even feel like it because I didn't feel like I had slept at all. Even though I felt like I was eating lightly as far as salads, things like that for lunch, by the afternoon, I felt like a balloon. I was bloating. My clothes would even feel tighter in the afternoons. Just very uncomfortable. I have not had any problems at all with that. I mean, it's just amazing to me. I've also had chronic sinus problems. I've been to the doctors, have been on antihistamines, been on all kinds of the sinus medications and stuff. I've not had any problems whatsoever. Even with the changes in weather, not had any problems. I've had no headaches. And normally with a change of weather like we've had, especially recently, I would keep a headache all the time. I've not had any problems. I have not felt better in years than I have already felt the first week of this program. So I'm so excited, I'm so enthused, and and I can't wait to see what's ahead, if it's this great after 1 week.
Wonderful. Are you sleeping better?
I am. I told Randy, I slept sleep with the dead last night. It was great. I mean, it was like I went to bed, and it was like, oh, can't be time to get up. I felt great. I mean, I just felt great.
That's wonderful.
And, I mean, I have got so much more energy. It's absolutely amazing.
It's the way we should feel all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And like I said, if it's this good after a week, whew, I'm excited. I really am.
Hi, my name is Lisa Walden. I started the program. It's been right at 3 months now, and it's been incredible. It has changed my life. I feel so much better from the very first week that I started the program. My body is healthier. My weight loss is down. The hot flashes are gone. I don't have those at all anymore. I'm not having problems with food cravings like I was having, unhealthy cravings. My cholesterol, it has been cut down more than 55% in 3 weeks' time. I've seen great results, and I'm continuing to see results, even going into finishing my 3rd month now, and I'm really excited about what has happened in my life and how I feel so much better now, and how others are wanting to know what I've done, and I think if you would just give the program a try, you will see great results from it.
I don't mind telling you that I'm 68 and glad of it, and I don't want to go back and start over, but I do wish that I had understood about this level of care. I wish this level of care had been available to me, because I've done everything from, chiropractic as from a child because of the low level of polio, whatever that means, that I had. So I've had aches and pains all my life. And the whole diet thing just got away from me. And as I got older, I just figured that's what people did, was just gain weight and get blotty. And then my sister had a physician who told her to control her weight by just cutting out all the whites. So I said, okay, I can do that. But then I reached a plateau, and the feelings of lethargy had not changed at all. I just had lost some weight. Well, then when I found out about this plan, this program, I thought, what the heck, sure, I don't have anything to lose except some bad feelings and not wanting to get up and move around, just being weary all the time and letting the least little thing bog me down. So I went on the program, and within a very short amount of time, I realized that, gee, I was focusing. I didn't feel blurred or heavy in the head. I could sleep without just lying there for what seemed like hours, wanting to go to sleep, but not being able to. So here I am about a year later, and I guess I should lose a little more weight, but I'm quite happy where I am. If I go off if the holidays or what have you get in the way, it's easy to click back into. So I feel like that's the deal now, is I do feel like I'm in charge, rather than just being a victim of whatever emotional feelings I might have or what somebody puts in front of me. I can be selective because I understand more of the science that's behind it now. I don't understand the science still. I've tried hard to get it, and I understand a certain amount, but I can't tell you all the scientific reasons for this, that, and the changes. But there's nothing that breeds success like success. And so, when you feel better and you're just not asleep on your feet, and you're not aching the way that you have before, it's just a whole different experience. So I'm glad that this came my way. Oh, I must say that the 4 weeks program, the initial program, it was good to know how long it was going to last, because it was not my favorite thing to do. I did not enjoy that kind of regimentation. I just didn't enjoy that. And I got real uptight about it from time to time. But I survived it quite well, because I knew how long it was going to last. It's just like labor, like having a baby. You know how long this is going to last, and you can do anything that you need to, because the outcome is going to be worth what you've been through. So I just kept thinking, this is something that I will get through, and I will be able to look back. Well, even before it was anywhere near over, I felt so much better. I certainly didn't mind even extending the program another month, so that I really did get a grip on what I call my revitalization.
I did the program for 30 days, and I heard several different people mention about doing the program. I was using Dr. P for chiropractic work, and he was talking to me, and Laurie was doing my massages, and she was talking. And then I finally came to a meeting one Monday night, and a guy his name was Todd, I think, he was here, and he told his experience of how it helped him. Well, I was a little skeptical at first because I just wasn't sure. I thought it would help, but I was not real positive. So anyway, I started doing it, and it was so much easier than I really thought it would be. I had tried Weight Watchers several times, and I can lose the weight. It's not a problem. I've always been able to lose it. I've had the problem of keeping it off. This is the one reason I've tried. I said, one more time, I'm going to try something and see if I can keep the weight off without having any problem. And this has done it. Over Christmas, I gained about 5 pounds, and before, if I hadn't known about this program, I would have just kept gaining, because I wouldn't know exactly, it's like it's set in stone, exactly what you have to do to take the weight off. And I started back knowing exactly what to do for a week, and probably after this week, I'm going to be back down where I need to be, or it might take me another week. But I know how to take it off and keep it off. And that's the beauty of this program, is it makes you feel good, you don't crave food, you feel great, you have energy, you look good, and you lose. And I think doing the detox part of it is it cleanses your cells into where then you don't crave foods that you used to crave. And I just truly believe that this is the program for anyone who has a problem with their weight and wanting to be healthy.
My name is Gwendolyn Magid. I came to Dr. Pellington in the end of May. Well, you name it, I had it. Headaches, sinus, reflux, pain. I was on medications. I was wearing 2 arm splints for carpal tunnel. I had finger splints because I had trigger fingers. I just had all kinds of things. Wasn't sleeping, and I was taking all kinds of medications. But now, after being on the program, and I'm not on any pain medication, I'm not even on my asthma medicine anymore. No pain medications, nothing for reflux. I eat regular food, and I do get off sometimes, but when I get off, I know what to do to get myself back on track. So I'm just thankful that Lois Nichols had recommended me down here. So I'm just thankful that I ran into her, because otherwise I would probably be still seeing an orthopedic surgeon, my regular doctor, going to physical therapy 2 or 3 times a week, and something else I was doing. But now I'm not doing any of those things. I stopped by the doctor's office yesterday because I had to make an appointment for a physical, and they wanted to know where I had been, and I told them I didn't need them anymore, so that's why they hadn't seen me in a while. So that's pretty much where I am, and hopefully I can stay on track so that I won't get back in the position I was in, which was pitiful because I couldn't do anything. I couldn't hold my fork. I couldn't pick up a frying pan, and I was pretty miserable.
You lost any weight?
I've lost, right after the program, I had lost 16.5 pounds. So far, I've lost about 20 pounds, and I'm maintaining that.
Good for you.
My name is Nicole. Before I started the Nutritional Detox and Weight Loss Program, I was very frustrated. I did not understand my issues that surrounded my inability to lose weight. I had a feeling it was more than just a matter of willpower. I had a feeling that it was more chemically involved. I contacted Dr. Pellington's office and came in for consultation. And after being explained what your body chemistry is made up of and how everything works together, I realized that I could have control back into my life with a plan. And the most important thing for me was to have a feeling of success and not a feeling of what am I going to eat next, how many calories have I eaten today? Oh no, I ate too many calories, so I might as well just eat the whole bag of potato chips, and that frustration level, just that cycle would continue. Once I got on the program, the first week I started feeling completely different. My energy level is much higher. My cravings have subsided, and I feel like I'm in more control than I've ever been. Before, I would have these insatiable cravings, and if you are going through that, don't be so hard on yourself, because it's not just a matter of willpower. It's really what's going on inside your body, and your body is out of balance. And so the program helps get your body back into balance. You will be so thrilled when those cravings subside. When I had to go through the holiday season, it was so different than how it has been in the past. I was able to maintain control, and I didn't have that insatiable feeling of just eating everything on the table set before me. And so with that, you feel more confident. You know, you're proud of yourself. Your body is healing. I'm very excited. I still have my goal to reach, but gone are it's just easier now. And the frustrations I had before with counting calories or counting points, it's not there. It's so much easier. You realize, this is one body that I have, and I want to take care of it, the best care of it that I possibly can, and so you just want to put good nutrients in your body, and this is what this program has taught me.
I'm Sarah, and this is my 8th week, and I've lost 22.5 pounds. I'm very excited. I have lost, as of 7 weeks, 5 inches in my waist and 3 in my hips, which is very exciting. And as far as the changes in my body, I'm more regular, and I can run continuously now. I'm up to a mile running without stopping, and I don't have any trouble breathing or any pains when I'm running. And overall, the experience has been great. Before, I was sleepy, I was tired. I had a 2-year-old that didn't sleep well, and I was always exhausted going to bed and getting up in the morning. I was still tired, and now I feel refreshed every morning, even though she still goes to bed late. And I just feel great all of the time. I can tell in my attitude and my body and everything. It's been a complete change.